Welcome to today's Explainer, everyone. Today, we're exploring a deeply transformative concept, one that offers a genuinely profound solution to the modern challenges we face in our households and communities. We're looking at the ancient, yet incredibly practical, Eastern philosophy of cultivating Dharma together with family, or as it's known at its core, Bampendidarm Pramkrapua. We live in a world where moral decay and this constant focus on the material often end up fracturing our closest relationships. But the wisdom we're unpacking today, it totally flips the script. It suggests that the ultimate healing of our society doesn't start from the outside in. It actually starts from the innermost core of who we are and then radiates outward to the people we love most. Okay, let's dive into this. The journey of changing our families starts with the purity of our own spiritual transmission. In Eastern philosophy, the lotus is such a powerful symbol. It grows in these murky, muddy waters, but blooms immaculately pure above the surface. This perfectly represents the practitioner of Dharma. You might be living in a messy, chaotic world, or, let's be honest, even a chaotic household, but your inner spirit absolutely must remain untainted. You literally cannot transmit peace, wisdom, or harmony to your loved ones if your own hands, metaphorically speaking, are covered in the mud of worldly attachments. It all has to begin with your own spiritual purity. So here is our roadmap to understand how this works. First, we'll look at the foundation of self. Second, the principles of coexistence. Third, cultivating as a family. And fourth, guiding your loved ones. All right, starting with section 1, the foundation of self, which is all about making oneself upright. This first innermost circle represents a fundamental truth. You cannot change your family until you transform yourself first. We're using this maxim from Confucius as our anchor today. Make oneself upright first, then help others. In the source texts, this is directly linked to the Buddhist concept of achieving self-realization before you even try to awaken anyone else. I mean, think about it. You can't pull someone out of the water if you're actively drowning yourself, right? In the grand scheme of achieving a sage-like character, internal virtue simply must precede external action. Self-rectification is the root. Helping others, well, those are just the branches. So how exactly do we make ourselves upright? The texts give us 5 highly tactical steps for inner sincerity. First up is cutting materialism. Now, this doesn't just mean throwing away your TV. In this context, it means actively removing the 3 toxic traits of the mind: greed, anger, and ignorance. Next is self-reflection. The sources note that true sages always look at their own faults first, whereas ordinary people tend to pass the blame. Third is removing the ego. Fourth is knowing contentment, literally finding joy even in poverty because of your spiritual wealth. And fifth is achieving body-mind harmony, which means acting and resting in perfect moderation. I really want to pause on that third point for a moment because it's absolutely crucial. Ego is defined here as the root of selfishness and bias. The texts explain that ego actually traps us. It forces us to draw this rigid boundary around ourselves, which completely halts our personal growth and stops us from authentically connecting with the people around us. If you are operating from a place of ego, you're just building walls between yourself and your family. Tearing down this wall isn't just a nice idea, it's mandatory if you want to bring Dharma into your home. Moving right along to section 2, principles of coexistence. Think of this as the trunk of the tree. Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is that before bringing Dharma to your specific family dynamics, you have to master living harmoniously with people in general. Notice how our daily reactions are framed here. If you get super excited and joyful just because people praise you, your ego inflates. Conversely, if you fall into deep sorrow the second people criticize you, you become totally unstable. A true practitioner lets go of worldly fame. They remain completely unswayed by either praise or blame, maintaining this rock-solid emotional stability that is required if you want to be a stabilizing force for anyone else. Just consider this beautiful Eastern analogy. The fully ripe rice stalk bends low. This perfectly captures humility and forgiveness. Think about it for a second. An empty stalk of rice stands straight up, stiff and proud. But a stalk that is fully mature, heavy with grain, naturally bows toward the earth. The core teaching here is that Dharma is always sought and found in low places, not high ones. Being humble, yielding, and forgiving, that's a sign of immense spiritual maturity, not weakness. Okay, on to section 3, cultivating as a family. These are the branches. With the self upright and our interpersonal skills deeply grounded, we finally reach the ultimate goal: bringing Dharma into the household. When a family actually commits to practicing together, the texts describe this incredible ideal state that is naturally achieved. a merciful father, a filial son, harmonious siblings, and a united husband and wife. That is the vision. When family members mutually respect one another and align under shared virtues, the home literally becomes a sanctuary of peace. And the text notes something deeply important here. This harmony doesn't just stay trapped inside the house, it radiates out. When the family institution is strong and peaceful, the entire society, and ultimately the nation, becomes strong and peaceful. And finally, Section 4, Guiding Your Loved Ones. Let's get into the tactical breakdown. Let's move to and see how this builds. How do we actually get our families on board without causing massive friction? Well, we have to follow a strict chronological priority. First, you start with yourself. Second, you guide your siblings. Third, your parents. And fourth, extended relatives. You absolutely have to follow this order. You have to earn trust at the foundation before you can move up the family tree. You can't just jump straight to preaching to your elders if you haven't put in the work yourself. And a key rule here is that you must never, ever use force or coercion. So step 1 is leading by example. The text specifically warns against rushing this process. Your words absolutely must match your actions. The source gives a very practical, everyday example. If you're talking a big game about high spiritual concepts, but you're a hypocrite who forgets to send money home to support your family, or you never even bother to visit them, you will ruin any chance to positively guide them. Let's face it, your family knows your flaws better than anyone. They need to see the positive change in your behavior before they will ever listen to your words. Once your actions are truly aligned, step 2 is to guide your siblings. Why siblings next? Simply put, because they're your peers. There is little to no generational gap, which makes them by far the easiest to communicate with. You share a similar worldview. It's just so much simpler to sit down with a brother or sister, share your personal spiritual experiences and the real value you've found in Dharma, and maybe invite them along to classes so they can experience it for themselves. Step 3 is guiding your parents. Now, this can be tricky due to the generational divide and the obvious fact that they still view you as their kid. But the text offers some brilliant tactical advice here. If your own words don't carry quite enough weight with your parents yet, use leverage. Wait until an older sibling has embraced the Dharma and let them help gently guide the parents. It's really all about finding the right messenger and the right time to share these truths with the elders of the household. Finally, step 4 is extending this entire philosophy out to your relatives. Every extended family has a totally different dynamic, so your method here has to be highly adaptable. It requires a lot of patience to just let them observe your positive changes over time. But more than anything, it requires profound sincerity. The text makes a beautiful point here. If your sincerity and respect are deep enough, it is said that it can move even the heavens. So surely, over time, it will touch the hearts of the human beings you share a bond with. So the crucial point is this. Ultimately, world peace, societal strength, and community harmony do not start in government buildings or on the world stage. They start at the dinner table. They start right in the living room. If the family institution is strong, the nation will be strong. But creating that strength requires you to look in the mirror first. You must become the fully ripe rice stalk, bowing low with humility, removing the ego, and quietly transforming your home through the undeniable power of a lived example. How will your family begin its cultivation today? The path is laid out before you. It's up to you to take the first step.